Hi, everybody. Today's talk is about the UKCA mark. So, if you're not familiar, um, there is now a separate process for the UK for medical devices. It used to be that the UK or Great Britain was part of the European Union, it was one of the member states. But several years ago, they voted that they were going to exit the European Union and no longer be one of the member states. And people were convinced, there was no question in anybody's mind that there would be some sort of mutual recognition agreement like Australia had, where they would recognize anything that was approved in the UK, and the UK would recognize anything that was approved in the European member states. However, the end result was not that. The end result was we're going to exit. And technically, there was a deal, but a lot of people were talking about what if there's no deal? Well, it might as well have been there was no deal, because we're only recognizing the CE mark product in the UK up until a certain date. So for a lot of products, it's up until, I believe, the end of this year, December 31st, but there are different transition dates for different products. So as of June 30th or July 1st of next year, 2023, your products that are CE marked will no longer be sold in the UK. And that's specific to medical devices. The UK decided that they were going to retaliate against the European Union. So the European Union said, we are not going to recognize any approved bodies in the UK, and we're not going to recognize any approvals in the UK. And so the UK said, well, fine, then we won't recognize any CE mark product, and we won't recognize any notified bodies. So there. Well, that really creates a problem for the UK, and it creates a problem for the companies that are trying to sell product in the UK. It also creates a problem for any companies that are located in the UK and trying to sell in the EU. If they already have a notified body and they already have CE marking, that's great. They'll be able to ship it to Europe, but they won't be able to sell it in their own country. So that's a small problem. And the companies that are currently selling in the UK, whether they're from the US or Europe or some other country, they will no longer be able to sell in the UK as of July 1st of next year. So what happens? Well, I showed you sort of what the UKCA mark looks like. It has the UK on top and the CA below for competent authority, but it has a special graphic just like we have for CE marking for the CE mark, where they have it in one of the annexes and they show you exactly what the dimension should be in the ratio of the letters, and it should be bold, blah, blah, blah. It has to be a certain height. Well, they have the same thing for this UKCA mark, but in order to get a UKCA mark, you have to use an approved UK body. Well, how many are there? 3. So we complained about the UK or the EU process going from 80 something notified bodies down to 20 something, and all the problems that's caused. What do you think it's going to do when we shrink to 3? It's going to be a disaster. So the only 3 that there are is BSI, SGS, and UL. And it gets worse. UL can only do it for one specific type of in vitro diagnostic product. So all the other medical devices, no dice with UL. So that leaves you with BSI and SGS. Well, how long is this going to last? Is it going to just be like the EU process where a whole bunch of notified bodies have had to apply for their jobs again? And we had this transition period where we're waiting for them to get designated? Maybe. But two certification bodies, one of them DECRA, which we know and use a lot, and TUV SUD, which we also know and use a lot. Both of these are major certification bodies that have products that are in the EU, and those 2 companies also are MD-SAP certification bodies. They have applied for being UK notified or UK approved bodies. They have locations in the UK, and they haven't been approved. They have been denied. They just haven't been approved, and we have no idea what the timeline will be. And we have no idea what products it will be approved for. So basically, you have 2 to choose from. So if you're an IVE company or you're in a medical device company and you're trying to sell in the UK, you have two to choose from. Now you think that's bad, but it gets worse. If you have um, BSI or you have SGS already, and you went through all this trouble of changing over to the Netherlands to have the UK, I'm sorry, to have the notified body number for BSI in the Netherlands, or the UK, sorry, the EU notified body number for SGS, you can't use those same numbers and you can't use those same certification bodies in the UK. You have to use BSI UK and SGS UK. And, um, even though those companies have said that they're going to be able to do one review of your technical files and use it for both, I'm not so sure because number one, the UK has made it very clear we're not going to recognize any certificates. So you're going to have two different certificates with two different accreditation bodies. The one for the UK is UKCA. That's what we used to have when we had BSI 0086 numbers. Now that we have the BSI Netherlands, it's a different certification body. It's a Dutch certification body or accreditation body, sorry. I think it's RCV is the accreditation body. So you have a different certificate. So your ISO 1345 certificate you have for CE marking cannot be the same ISO certificate you have for the UK. Will they allow them to put two different or accreditation body symbols on the same certificate? Probably not, because they'd make more money if they didn't. Or the UK and the EU will fight over and say, no, you can't. So either it's because they make more money or it's because the countries fight about it and are in retaliation. Regardless of what the reason, it's probably not going to be allowed. You might get away with one audit, but what if your company doesn't use BSI or doesn't use SGS for your notified body? Let's say you have LNE GMed, or you have TÜV Süd, or you have TÜV Nord, or you have DECRA, or let's say somebody else like Intertech. If you have any one of these other notified bodies, they aren't going to apply, or they've applied and they haven't been granted yet to be a UK approved body. Now, what do? You have to go through two ISO 1345 certification audits? Is that really how we're going to do it? That's crazy. So it keeps on getting worse and worse. I thought it could never get worse than the European Frankenstein regulation called the MDR and the IVDR. But nope, we have come up with a worse scenario here now. We're going to have two ISO 1345 certification audits. We're going to have two certificates. Oh, don't forget, if you do business in Canada, you have to have MDSEP. So that's a third certificate. And we don't even have a process that's going to be the same. So if you go through the EU process, you're going to comply with the MDR or the IVDR. And what did the UK decide to do? Well, we'll just go back to the old system. We'll go back to the MDD and the IVDD, but we'll make a few changes here and there to eliminate all mention of notified bodies and member states. And we'll just mention the UK stuff. And while we're at it, we might as well make a few other changes we decided to make at the same time. Isn't this fantastic? So you're going to have to write a whole new technical file and all your labeling and everything to meet this new requirement for the UK. In addition, you're going to have all the requirements for the CE, and you're going to do all this stuff for a population of 65 million people. And by the way, don't forget, you have to do it all by July 1st of next year. And if you want to get a quote from BSI or SGS, good luck. It takes them 9 months to get you a quote. So I'm going to ask for a quote, and I'm going to actually submit the file that I don't know how to submit it yet or what the requirements are. And they're going to review it and approve it, and they're going to get it on the market before July 1st. You believe that too? No, it's not going to happen. So what is going to happen? I have no idea. I don't think anybody does. When I ask the notified bodies, they're like, I don't know. Talk to an expert at BSI that I'm friends with. I'll pass you along to the salesperson. Salesperson doesn't get back to me for weeks. So it doesn't matter who you know. I even talked to somebody in the UK that's trying to become a UK responsible person. So this would be very similar to what we have for the EU, where we have the responsible regulatory person for your quality system and regulatory requirements. Every company has to have one that is a medical device company. They have the same kind of requirement now in the UK, and this person is going to be one. She's phenomenal, but she doesn't know. She's actually talked to MHRA. She's gone there, and nope, don't know how this is going to play out. Why? Because it was a last minute decision in retaliation because they won't recognize us. We're not going to recognize them. It's last minute. There was no planning and there's no prep time. We don't have the resources, and it's all going to happen in, let's see, 12, 15 months. Not going to happen. Just a technical file review alone, we're probably looking at 18 months. And all these companies that have updated their technical files, they're going to have to go back to a version and then make little tweaks to meet the new requirements for the new, I forget what it's called. It's like the UK MDR 2002, which makes no sense to me at all. I technically I get it and I read it, but it doesn't make logical sense that why would it be 2002 when it didn't happen anywhere near 2002? This just going to confuse everybody. And me trying to make a video to explain this to people, craziness. So thankfully, one of our employees, Matthew Walker, he decided he would take a little bit of work off my plate and he would create a webinar for this. So you can pre-order it now. There's a link down below. It'll be available by March 31st. So if you pre-order it in the next week here, you'll get it at half price. If you wait until after March 31st, then you'll pay full price. But it's going to explain as best we can at this time what the process is, and it'll give you a little bit more in-depth information at a lot slower pace and with probably less sarcasm. What I just gave you. It's, yes, this is really going to happen. This is real. We don't know all the details. And it's going to be really, really hard to figure out. What's going to happen to the UK? They're not going to have any medical devices or IVD products come middle of 2023, unless it's okay to stockpile all those products and still sell them. But another detail, not explained. Can we stockpile these? Will we be allowed to distribute them once they're already physically in the UK? That took them a long time to write the language for those transition guidelines in the European Union, and they had a lot of resources and a lot of member states and a lot of people putting thought into this. We've got a lot smaller member state with a lot less time to figure this out. So it's not that it can't be done. It's just, will you have that out in time so companies can actually execute a strategy or plan to do this? I have no idea. So stay tuned. Watch the video, register for that webinar with Matthew Walker, and I hope that helps you. But we're going to do our best to try to help companies that are interested in the UK market, but it's going to be a challenge for everybody, and even quality system and regulatory experts are going to be scratching their head because the notified bodies in the UK, MHRA, are scratching their head saying, how are we going to do this? And there's going to be repercussions that are not good for the healthcare system and the availability of medical devices in the UK. So I hope that helps everybody, and stay tuned, and please don't forget to register for that webinar. It'll be available on the 31st, but you pre-register and you save half price. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you later.